what's up, folks? Welcome back to the Winning Drive here on Texas Football. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Pleased to be joined by fellow lifetime Longhorn Young Prodigy CJ Vogel and our own coach, former high school football coach at Belton, Rotan, Brownwood. He's coached all around, also coached at the University of Texas for multiple head football coaches. Also played college football at Abilene Christian, coach there as well. I don't do his resume justice, honestly, but I try to do my best. You can catch his work these days at ShipleyRanches.com. It's our own coach, Bob Shipley. What's going on, Coach? How you doing?
Hey, doing great, man. We got to win. We got another opportunity this week to get better. It's all good, baby.
Ooh, like that. Did I see some greetings from Australia? Did I see that? Was that?
Yeah.
Whoa,
Santi, you need to come by a ranch in Texas, brother.
ShipleyRanches.com. Go check it out. Yeah, no doubt about it. But thank you, Santi. We appreciate you joining us. Appreciate all you guys joining us, guys and gals, joining us and helping us kind of build this on Texas football family. We got a lot to get into on the show. You know, Stevie Lee usually joins us on Monday. So whenever Stevie Lee drops in, we'll get to Stevie Lee and get his thoughts on the game. I want to get coach's thoughts on the game as well. CJ was down at the media availability for Sark, and we'll get his thoughts about what he heard there, and also Sark addressing the conspiracy theory about Arch Manning. So we got to talk about that. Matter of fact, we'll start right there. But your questions, comments, throw them out there. We'll try to address as many as we can. Livingstone looks like he was born and bred on the ranch. Livingstone, yeah, he's got a little stallion in him. All right, he got a little stallion. Got up to what was it? What was the MPHs on him? CJ 20? Was it 21?
20.3. He told me after the game in his press conference that, hey, I was hoping to hit 22. Today, he said, maybe I thought it was a little faster than that. But I know some guys, back in high school told me the first time I ever got caught, I didn't hear about it for the next 3 years because it happened as a sophomore. He said the only thing going through his head when he was running down the field was, I cannot get caught and come back to the sideline, because for the next however many weeks Texas plays, that's what he is expecting to hear about. So credit to him. Just fast enough.
Yeah,
he looked like a thoroughbred running, man. I was impressed.
Yeah, man. No, I ain't gonna lie, man. He is, and we're talking about the most pleasant surprises so far of the season. I mean, him and Jack Injury's at the top of the list, right? I mean, those guys. In terms of this guy, I think Longhorn fans are just grinning from ear to ear about those two players and what they've contributed so far offensively. And we'll talk about that. But Livingstone. All right, Livingstone. I remember it like a Michael Scott way. He leaves them DB stunned. So that's how I'm going to live Livingstone instead of Livingstone, which I think I've said a ton. I'm sure I've actually overemphasized Stone a few times. So I apologize for that. Okay. But remember, you guys throw out your questions, comments. We'll try to get to them as fast as we can. Super chats always jump to the front of the line, and you can interrupt the show at any time. Yeah, I think Cisco called them Gringo Lightning. I think that's the name that came. So and I like that nickname. Somebody got to ask him got to ask him what nickname he likes. Do we know that, CJ? Because I know I know he's heard some nicknames about white chocolate, stuff like that. Do we know what nickname he prefers? Is there a nickname he likes?
I don't know if he's actually come out and said what he enjoys. We've heard a lot, right? I mean, you just mentioned Gringo Lightning is the one that's been making the rounds recently, but we've heard white chocolate. I mean, all sorts of stuff. So, look, as long as he's
a wide receiver that's got a little speed, it's always the same. Same old cliches.
Well, hold on. Why didn't Jordan get a nickname?
He's a taller Wes Welker. That's what they used to, when they used to tell me, hey, coach, this kid's a Wes Welker. Well, I knew he was white, slow, but had good hands. Wes Welker's a little more than what people gave him credit for.
It's the old adage of, what is it, sneaky speed, super coachable. Yeah, high motor guy is another one.
Yeah, coach on the field. It's always a white guy.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I have had to guard those guys, and now you don't use them terms when you got to guard them. I've had to guard Wes Welker before, and Icy Whites. Yeah, trust me, I don't use those little sneaky fast. No, I use the cool nickname.
Honky Flash. I like that one, Honky Flash.
Yeah, because trust me, they'll make you look bad out there. I don't want to get into it. I got flashbacks from Wes Welker back in the day. Anyway, all right, let's get to the Arch news. Well, I don't know if it's news. It ain't news. It's rumor, conjecture, conspiracy. All right, a lot of folks out there in the Twitterverse and online, they were out there on the grassy knoll, all right, and they were claiming that based on the way that Arch had played versus Ohio State, and then it was and they were talking about his mechanics mostly, like why is his mechanics off, and why is he misaligned, and why is he off balance when he's throwing, and all these different things. And then they also had a picture this week apparently. Remember on that Ryan Wingo crossing route,
second quarter?
Yeah,
he had the grimace on his face.
Yes,
I even mentioned that. I even mentioned that in the live cast.
Okay.
That he had a grimace on his face, and I wasn't sure whether that was a painful grimace or that was a bad pass grimace. Apparently, that's a bad pass grimace.
Yeah, people online didn't go at it like that, Coach. They assumed it was he was in pain. That's why he was grimacing like that. So finally, after 2 weeks, honestly, of speculation and rumor and conjecture running rampant, Sark was asked about it. And Matthew, could you get this clip ready to go here at the media availability today? He was asked about that rumor that has obviously gone rampant online. Here is what Sark had to say when addressing the question about the conspiracy theory that Arch may be dealing with an injury.
And he seemed to be having some throwing pains by the
According to
quarter.
who?
Arch.
Arch said that to you?
No.
Oh, according to who?
It just looked like he was.
He doesn't have any.
Is there an explanation to why it looked like that?
I don't know. I've never filmed any of you guys when you're using the bathroom, so I don't know what faces you make when you're doing that.
Okay, we got to break this down. Gentlemen. Okay, why to the bathroom thing? Is it about straining? All right. Well, why jump to the bathroom analogy? Why? What's the reason for it? Just give it to me.
He was just saying that's a bad question, and don't ask me stupid questions like that.
I know. I laughed at it. I thought it was funny, but it wasn't. He just kind of jumped right to it. You know what I mean?
Well, it could have been that there's an old Tom Herman P chart up there, and if you didn't make the P chart, you had a grimace on your face.
I thought he was going to say, like, I was a quarterback, and at times when you're making certain throws or you don't like something, that, kind of the way that the ball's coming out, you may subconsciously, make a face or, because you're straining.
Hey, I'll say this. On the rewatch, I did see Arch one time go to the line of scrimmage and kind of do this before the play, and it was a pass play the next play.
Mm. Oh, no, he always he
kind of did this like he had to loosen up his arm a little bit.
Yeah, he does that pretty often. There was a conversation in the box in which, following the replay of that grimace, there's a lot of folks wondering whether or not there was something up with him. And, he takes the field the next possession, and you see him kind of doing this thing, right? And it's folks are like, oh, red flag, circle this moment. I was like, wait a minute, he's done this every time he's come out onto the field. Yes. I'm surprised that wasn't asked of Arch at some point today or after the game. But no, that's kind of like his quirk. And, I asked Ethan Burke, because I think Ethan Burke has quirks when he gets on the field. If you ever notice when he gets in his 3 or 4 point stance, his back leg extends about 4 yards back. I know it's not, but I'm exaggerating here. It's crazy. He looks like a sprinter that's going beyond his block before getting into the blocks. And I think that's just one of those things that folks have their own ways of feeling comfortable on the field. Rod, you could attest to this, but for Arch, you just kind of do something that makes you feel loosened up before you get going.
Man, the chat is wilding out right now, though.
Don't do it before a pass play. Okay? I mean, if you do it before a run play, too.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, that's a good point, Coach. I never tracked that.
Whenever I was a running back and I was getting the ball, my brother said he always knew, because I'd pull up my thigh pads and I'd stump my toe in the ground to make sure my shoes were on there tight and everything, He said, I can tell every time you're getting the ball. So I had to kind of change it up a little bit.
Man, that's a good one. Yeah, there was actually some receivers that would do that. They would like tighten their gloves.
Yeah.
And they were like a primary read or something like that. You can see him out there. But that's a great point about him. And does he do that before kind of passing plays, or is it just all the time? But no, CB, you know what? We wasted a great opportunity. I'm going to give CB some credit. He said, I thought OTF would be broadcasting from the bathroom. Damn it. I don't know why one of us didn't do it.
With cameras on our faces.
Damn it. Exactly. We're trying to keep it too classy, but that's a good one. No, the chat, you guys, all these one-liners on here, I can't even get to all of them because Arch has restless face syndrome. That's one of the cleaner ones.
We're also just now getting introduced to the Manning face, and there's been plenty of faces just like this. I mean, the Eli face, I think a lot of folks would have wondered, just what he was thinking, if anything at all at times coming off the field. So it's been an ongoing thing for about 25 years of football, and now we're just getting welcome to it.
Oh, man. Yeah. No, that's great.
I still want to hear the Omaha.
I would love the Omaha would be great. The Omaha would be great. But there's so many reasons that I actually believe, or I don't believe that he's hurt. That I believe that he's just got the mechanics were just off because he was nervous on the road. And that, the grimace is actually, I saw a photo someone said from last year, or like in training camp, I believe, where he's also grimacing when he throws. I don't know. I gotta ask quarterbacks about that. Like I haven't looked at quarterbacks' faces when they throw the football. This is the first time we've ever discussed a quarterback's face when they're throwing the football. I don't think we've ever talked about this at the NFL or the college level. CJ, you're an NFL fan. Last time we discussed, the quarterback's face looks like this when he's throwing the ball. That means he must be hurt or he's grimacing when he throws the football. I'm sure it's happened, but y'all got to admit, man, that's Archmania kind of at its core. Like that's what the conspiracy theory, like it's already, he could have just had a bad game. We can't even just say, had a bad game. Now, man, look at him. The mechanics were off. He has to be hurt. Sark's hiding an injury and then get into all of this. I mean, it's wild. It's wild. And that happened in 2 weeks. That was just a 2-week like conspiracy theory that ran rampant and went viral. Man.
It's pretty wild.
It is pretty wild. All right. But like I said, I'm glad Sark cleared it up. And shout out to the young man and CJ, you were there, who asked a question. Good for him. That takes a lot. It takes some testicular fortitude to ask that question because everybody in the room knew about the topic. Nobody wanted to be the person that asked the question.
And after Sark's response, you know why nobody wanted to ask ask that question.
All the vets like, I ain't asking that question. I'm
gonna write my own story about something else, but someone's got to fall on this sword, right? That's kind of like a rite of passage for a young journalist to kind of, ask something early on, and I've been there plenty where you get the answer and you're like, oh, I don't know if I like the way that came off. I hope he calls on me later on in this season, but it's a rite of passage. You'll learn.
Have you had that moment, CJ? Do you remember your moment as a young reporter?
Yeah.
He was like, oh.
I think I've told this story before. It happened in baseball season. And it, fortunately for me, wasn't broadcast to however many people watched the replay or whatever on Twitter. But I remember I covered the 2019 baseball season in which it was the worst Texas baseball season of my life. For the Daily Texan, I was covering them in Texas. I just lost a bad middle of the week road game or a home game to a directional school, bad game, and they had Stanford the next week. And I remember asking David Pierce, I was like, hey, it's 45 degrees down here in Austin. It was raining tonight. Are you excited to get on a plane and at least go see some California weather?
Yeah.
He goes, well, if it was 45 this weekend, next weekend or this weekend, it's going to be 50 and it's going to be raining even again. So no, I'm not. Next. And immediately just and it was like within it was February, right? Really early in the season. I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna give it a couple months before I give this question thing another try. It's tough. You got to earn those stripes. And the elevator moment, we're not even going back.
That is a great moment. The elevator moment is great. That is a fantastic moment. Oh, man. Yeah. If you haven't heard CJ's elevator story with Sark, one day, maybe for a super chat or something, we'll force CJ to have to tell it again. But I know for him, that's one of those moments that he would like to forget. All right. Let's, I want to get to some of the moments from the media availability. But I want to get you guys' thoughts quickly on the game, just overall, Coach, because I haven't talked to you since we kind of did the handoff on the in-game live watch. What are your overall thoughts about the game? Obviously, Arch's performance overall, too. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, on the rewatch, I didn't feel as bad as when I watched it live. But Jordan Washington did not have a good game. Our offensive line at times had good games, but we have a really tough time, cutting off blockers, and it's going to be a problem. And I think Sark addressed that a little bit in his press conference today. That it's a different type of defensive line. They were quicker, shorter. They were always on the move as opposed to a team like Ohio State. So it was, again, I take it as a really good lesson opportunity for our offensive linemen to know how defensive lines like that, are going to play. So I think it's a great teaching tool. It's a great learning moment for those guys. Defensively, I think, for the most part, it was a good effort. I think that was a tough defense to stop. Of course, the flurry of turnovers was awesome.
Yeah.
We just kind of hit a lull there, for a while. Of course, nobody wanted to give up a touchdown to those guys. But anyway, they had decent field position from, the arch sack and the short punt. And, there's just some things that, special teams obviously is something that everybody knows, obviously, that we have to take care of. And just the overall general discipline of the football team, just discipline. Colin Simmons going up and shoving that quarterback was just a very undisciplined move, undisciplined to go in and block and rough the punter. That's just undisciplined stuff. The penalties we had, we weren't blocking well on the perimeter, just things like that. Those are all good coaching things. It's nothing that can't be corrected, in my opinion. We just need to get it on film so we can correct it.
Yeah.
CJ, I want to get your thoughts about injuries, actually, because I know that is obviously a really important topic among Longhorn fans. But first, give me your thoughts. You've had an interesting, I don't know if even Matthew can bring it up, but you had an interesting tweet about the offense, kind of the lack of production overall from the offense and efficiency that I thought was interesting about them. Basically getting a lot of short fields from the defense, which is why they scored, I think, 21 points, came straight off turnovers, which is great. But they didn't put together a lot of long drives.
Right.
And that could be a problem. But I want your thoughts overall on injuries and also on the offense.
Yeah. Again, having watched it a few times now, I probably was too harsh on Arch. I thought he actually played a pretty solid game after watching. Again, I think I only gave him about a C, maybe, pretty high D. It was I wasn't thrilled with the offense entirely after the game. And as a result, probably took that out on Arch Manning quite a bit. But look, 19 of 30, 3 drops. You add that back in, 22 of 30 with probably 40 or 50 extra yards in that game. That changes quite a bit on the optical side of things. On top of that, look, his legs were a weapon. We saw that with the 20-yard scamper for a touchdown. So for Arch, probably too tough there. Having gone back and rewatched the game and try to keep the quarterback out of it, I'm still not happy with the way that Texas played this game. And look, 38 points, you win by 31. That's great. And 6 weeks, 7 weeks, we're going to look back and say Texas had no problem with San Jose State. That wasn't really the case, right? We talk about the flurry of turnovers. I mean, here it is. Texas had 9 possessions on their own side of the field, and they only turned that into 17 points. You can't go 50 yards and find yourself into scoring position against San Jose State. That is a failure of a day. If Texas doesn't play that complementary style of football, and I know we're playing the hypothetical game here, but I'm just wondering because – you're going to play offenses that won't turn the ball over or won't be so loose with the football upon contact. And Texas won't have these opportunities to score in the short field as often as they did on Saturday. So what will those scoring outputs look like whenever teams take care of the rock? That's my big question. And again, you score 3 touchdowns on 3 turnovers. That's fantastic. Complimentary football, A+. You did your job there. Defense, great job. Offense, way to punch it in. But when it was a squared football game and everything was even, a punt, now you're going back, Texas didn't really do a lot. I thought the offensive line was poor. I also thought that the vision of the offensive line was poor. Too many guys crossing faces, too many guys stunting and twisting and coming around, and ultimately finding gaps in the offensive line that should not be a case for how many third and fourth year guys that are on this unit. So, look, I like the physicality, but I think, and Sarkisian mentioned this today, he said the fundamentals were completely absent up front. So maybe we got to take back a little bit off the scheme and kind of hound the technique side of things once again. But the ultimate thing I come away with, and I'll wrap it up here, really poor performance against Ohio State. You saw development. You saw the steps in the right direction against San Jose State. And that's really all you could ask for. Was Texas going to bounce back and be completely perfect week 2? No shot. But you saw the steps in the right direction. And like Coach said, there is plenty to see on tape that you can now go back to the film room for this upcoming week of practice and say, all right, now we know what we're looking for. How can we continue to develop and improve? So ultimately week 3 should also be better. But yeah, I still think it was a pretty lackluster performance by the offense. And again, I want to see more because that's the standard that Sarkisian, that Arch Manning, that Kyle Flood, everybody involved with this offense has been preaching about. We haven't seen it at all, in my opinion.
They should have scored 50-something points.
100%.
Considering the Sark run and how quick, what they scored, 4 touchdowns in a 6-minute span or something like that. Considering how quickly that happened over the course of the rest of the game, they should have, if they were being a more efficient offense, to your point, and didn't have the penalties, and they weren't in third and long all the time, they would have been able to get that 50 burger you were talking about, CJ. So I feel you on that. I agree. When they got that Sark run, I thought, oh, man, CJ was right. They gonna get 50 burger. I was like, yeah. I paid 52. I was like, CJ convinced me 50 burger. They go get it, and then
they were close. Look, I forget where the Jarrett Gibson fumble happened, but that was right on the cusp of the red zone. I'm sitting there saying, well, if you convert both of those spots to the scores there, hey, 52-7, I'm looking like a genius.
See, exactly. And I'll admit that's what inspired my score prediction. All right, before we get to your questions, CJ, injuries for the folks out there. Any update on injuries? Any significant injuries to keep up with?
Yeah, Sark talked about it briefly. He said Trey Wisner would be doubtful today if there was a game. On top of that, I was told that DeAndre Moore did not practice. We didn't get official updates on Colin Simmons or DeAndre Moore from Steve Sarkisian. But right now, I'm told Texas is going to be very cautious with the 3 of those guys, and rightfully so. I'll also add Alex January in, who did not play. And look, I think Texas would have liked to have had him in some of those run defensive moments on Saturday. But the 4 of those guys, if I had to set like an over-under at 1.5, I would say you're probably only going to see 1 of those guys on Saturday against UTEP, excuse me. So, look, very cautious, and that's what these games are for. Get those young guys a lot of reps, get those young guys a lot of snaps early on so that they can build, develop, and see themselves on tape to know what to improve upon.
Yeah, and you've got those guys healthy for SEC play. That's the main thing.
Mm-hmm. I say keep Wisner out. Done.
I agree.
If there's any question, you don't need him for UTEP. Like Coach said, you need him for SEC play, especially since Cedric Baxter's now ahead of schedule. He looks great, man. I'm with you. Let's see that the depth of that running back room. Maybe that's what the UTEP game is all about. All right, let's thank a sponsor before we move on and hit. There's a super chat we got to get to and some questions. Let's thank our friends over at Von Lane before we dive into some questions. You've got to get from one city to another, especially in Texas or in this region. And like always, it can be a toss-up. Do you deal with the airport chaos, the stress, right, of dealing with any airport experience, hoping your flight isn't delayed, or try to drive yourself, which we've all done, and that's a stressful experience. You got traffic and road rage to deal with, and you lose so much time, so much productivity because you're on the road driving back and forth. Folks, there's a third option, and it's a much better option. Our friends over at Von Lane. Now, we actually partnered with Von Lane to power our Texas tour with the folks over at Third Longhorn, and they actually dropped us off in Houston and in Dallas, and it was great even back to Austin for some of those guys. So thank you to our friends over at Von Lane, and a lot of folks over at Third Longhorn told me that they'll be taking the Von Lane for future business engagements and for pleasure, for a lot of different purposes, but it doesn't matter. Our friends over at Von Lane offer you a luxurious travel experience. You arrive at a luxury hotel terminal, no TSA lines, no long-term parking lots, just a seamless boarding experience. It takes minutes, not hours. You settle into one of 22 oversized first-class leather seats with 140-degree recline, leg rest, and a cabin attendant serving complimentary snacks, beverages, and on select trips, a full meal. And if you need to relax, it's pretty simple. Just lean back and enjoy the ride. But if you want to stay productive, there's high-speed Wi-Fi and power at every seat. And also, fall travel is booking fast, folks. So reserve your spot now for October trips to Texas versus OU, in Dallas, F1 and ACL in Austin, or college football weekends in Nashville, Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston. Von Lane connects Austin, Dallas, Houston, Fort Worth, San Antonio, Nashville, Atlanta, Memphis, now Knoxville, the Woodlands, Plano. Visit vonlane.com and use the code OTF25 to save $20 off your first ride with Von Lane. That's Von Lane, elevated regional bus transportation. All right, let's get right to the super chat. Juan has a super chat here. This is for CJ. Something must have went down. He says that CJ Vogel, does Corey Wells flip to Auburn?
Yeah, it's definitely something we're monitoring right now. There have been some predictions about Auburn coming in and flipping the defensive lineman out of Mississippi. Of course, his brother is being recruited very heavily by Auburn as well, and Texas has yet to really get involved in that package deal recruitment at the moment. On top of that, look, the Texas staff has not been notified of an imminent flip. So not yet, I'll say it's not yet a for sure. But it's definitely something where where there's smoke, there's fire, and we're definitely keeping an eye out. Jerry's on the road right now down in Florida, so we'll convene tomorrow for the recruiting breakdown and have some more updates for you.
All right, thank you, Juan. Appreciate that. All right. Oh, my man CB threw in a super chat. Thank you, CB. He says, Rod and Stevie, memories from 24 years ago today. Stevie's not with us, but obviously, thank you, CB, because the CB's always does a great job of kind of keeping these memories alive. The Cole Pittman game. Shout out to my man CB. Like I said, the Cole Pittman game was 24 years ago. I feel old now. 24 years ago today. Yeah, that's pretty wild. And obviously for those, I'm sure most Longhorn fans well acquainted with it. Cole Pittman passed away in a tragic driving accident, driving home to Louisiana. And that game was dedicated to Cole Pittman prior to the game. And in the game, I can't even remember exactly how it happened. But I remember they had a chance to get the score at 44, which was Cole Pittman's number, and they got it. And I think when we realized it was overwhelming, like emotionally. I mean, there were guys like crying on the sideline. I mean, when you're in the game, you don't realize like what's going on. It was the Cole Pittman game. I remember Corey Redden had that great play in that game where he does a flip into the end zone to score a touchdown, and ultimately, I think they could have went in the score, and they decided not to keep it at 44. I believe that was after Robinson scored the first rushing touchdown of his career with 36 seconds remaining in the game. Major took a knee, on the point after attempt.
Wow.
To score at 44. Yeah, I believe they could have, and then it was like I said. I don't think anybody that was not. Coach, you know that nobody can go into a game trying to score a certain number. We do that on these shows and pick, 52 this, whatever. I mean, that's a fool's errand for the most part. We just have fun doing it. So there was no way that. Oh, shout out to my man Stevie Lee. There he is. That's the man himself. That we and Stevie can attest to this too. That was the farthest thing from anybody's mind. I don't know when they started thinking about it, like the coaches. I have no idea when they started thinking, oh man, you don't know that this is the Cole Pittman game and we can get his number on the scoreboard for the Cole Pittman game. That'd be a great question actually for Coach Brown. Now that we have access to him and he does that Stampede, when did y'all start who figured it out and at what point in the game did somebody go, hey, if we score, let's keep it at 44? Stevie, your thoughts. Stevie wants to know memories from the Cole Pittman game 24 years ago for you.
Golly, that was 24 years ago.
That's what I said.
Oh, my God.
I feel old. Thanks.
By the way, how y'all doing, man?
Doing great, brother. Doing great. Yeah, I hate to throw that on you. I know you just jumped in.
I just jumped in, and I was like, "What? What did we cut? We went deep quick."
We went deep quick. Well, we were talking. CB sent in a super chat. We was answering super chats, and CB does such a great job of the memories and the dedications and keeping the anniversaries and stuff, the birthdays and stuff alive. So shout out to my man CB, and he wanted to know our memories from that game. And like I said, I just remember looking up, and it had to be kind of when it happened, when Major took the knee, that they were like, "Bro, look at the scoreboard. It's 44." And then
I
remember that,
dude. So, CB, you're right. I did go to high school with Cole, and so we have a relationship back to freshman year, my freshman year in high school, right? So, known the Pittmans for forever since then. Golly, I wasn't even prepared for this one, but golly. So that game, I remember that we scored a touchdown, and I think it was Chance Mock that ran over to Major Applewhite, and Chance Mock and Major Applewhite went over to Coach Brown and said, "Let's take a knee and just leave the scoreboard at 44." And we got that message, or we saw what we were doing. Like the defense saw that they were doing that, and then we all just put our fours up, right? That's what I remember from that day. It was a very emotional day. The Pittmans were in town.
Yeah.
Miss Judy was there. There wasn't a dry eye on the sideline, man. It was an emotional day, and especially for people that were close to Cole. That was Tritzel, and him and Chris had gotten a really good relationship. So it was a pretty emotional day, I guess. So I remember about 4 years ago, I think the 20th year anniversary, ESPN came to my house right here in my office and was and interviewed me about this and made me cry in my own house. Like, who does that?
Come on, man.
Yeah. So it's good memories. I don't know if y'all know, but they're putting a movie together off of Mr. Pittman's book, Raising Cole.
Wow.
So and so we've been talking to producers, gathering stories and things like that they're in the writing phase. Wow. In fact, I got a rough script that I have looked over, and it's going to be a pretty cool story, cool book. But anybody that haven't read this book, go and read it. It's about fatherhood, really, and raising a kid. So it's pretty neat. I didn't know we were talking about this, man.
No, man. I appreciate you sharing, honestly, and I appreciate CB bringing it up. And no, CB, you're not bringing down the show because we're about to get back to talking ball here. But no, thanks for sharing that, Stevie, because I didn't even know about the book. I didn't know about the book, and I didn't know that it's called a movie project, so I'll look it up. All right, let's get back to these Texas Longhorns, this specific team. What were your thoughts?
You want to shout out Hargrove first?
Yep. Oh, Chef, of course. We gonna give Hargrove a shout out, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. I was just thinking when you get ready to leave, I was gonna give Hargrove.
I got you.
No doubt. We love our friends at Hargrove Roofing, HargroveRoofing.com. No doubt about that. What were your overall thoughts on the game after watching it?
I had a good time at the stadium. The University of Texas is doing a really good job with game day experience. So let's say that. But the game was good. It was fine. I love after the game interviews on the field with Arch. Arch knows that he didn't do great, and he said it on the sideline. He said it was a little sloppy. So, but again, we got the win. We got it pretty big. I think that San Jose State is actually a pretty good football team. We'll see how they fan out the rest of the year, but they got up to play us. And, people are kind of, grumbling a little bit that we didn't get some first downs that we want, and we got some drop balls and things like that. But I think we got something to work on. So it was a fun game to be there, fun game to be back in DKR Stadium. But it could have been a little bit more sharper. It's hard. I was looking at the stats earlier today. A lot of times, if you got how many penalties we had? 12 penalties for 115 yards, you can lose a game with that. So we really got to clean that up, man. That's about discipline and not thinking about anything else but what you got to do in front of you. So that was really disappointing to me as we move forward in the season. They had 3 for 15 yards. We had 12 for 115 yards. That's crazy. So that's got to clean up ASAP.
Yeah, you mentioned penalties. That's got to clean up. Third downs, Texas 2 of 12. You add those two together, you probably don't win many games in college football with both of those statistics working against you. But you do win a lot of football games when you force 4 turnovers. And, Stevie, have you ever seen a punch like that from Anthony Hill right to the face mask, right to the jaw, basically, of a San Jose State wide receiver? That poor kid just got a Hulk smash right to the dome. And but I like that part of the game. Texas forcing 4 turnovers. Let me get your thoughts on that, and also Anthony Hill specifically.
Hill just being violent at the ball, man. I don't think that he wanted to punch someone in the head, but we are taught to be, what is it, Rob? Out of control, under control.
Out of control, under control, man.
Yeah, and once you get to the ball, you punching at it, so 4 turnovers is good. We also had 2 turnovers, didn't we?
Yeah, we had the fumble and the kick.
Yeah, we got to clean that up as well. So, but the defense was out there having a good time there, and we kept them to 85 yards rushing or something like that. Yeah. So I think that's still good. We haven't had a 100-yard rushing team on us yet. I think that the defense is holding up, but just got to clean things up, man.
You know what Derek Johnson told me about Anthony Hill? He said he thinks Anthony Hill is going to break his record for forced fumbles in a season, which I think is 9.
Ooh, off to a good start.
I believe DJ said he had 9 in one season. Well, he had
insane.
He had a move, like he had a signature move. He would tackle the guy and then he would punch the ball out.
Yeah, he would punch the ball out. I was going to say that too, man. He was textbook with that, man, for sure.
Yeah. So that's what Anthony Hill was doing. Is that, Coach? Can you call a penalty on that when you just punch a dude in the ear hole?
I would think you could.
Okay, so that is, you can't just make that a move. You can just punch
unnecessary roughness or something.
All right.
Yeah. So that can't be a signature move for Anthony Hill. Especially if if he does it often, he's going to have to wear a club, because I'm sure that didn't feel great.
That's a good point. Yeah, it ain't helping your hand either. Where do you see the most improvement from game 1 to game 2, Stevie?
Golly.
They always say that you have the most improvement from game 1 to game 2.
I think, honestly, man, I really like how Baxter ran the ball, man.
Baxter, he does.
What's that?
He looks good. He looks
really good. There are some rumors out there that Trey is maybe down a little bit, and the injury report hadn't come out. And if he doesn't play, we got some really good running backs behind him. And I think, if we look back last year, Baxter was our guy coming into the season, right? Until he got hurt. Well, easing him back into these first 2 games, he can very well be our number 1 back, especially if Trey's hurt. But the way he ran the ball, he a couple times it took the third person to get him down, and that's what I like to see. It is reminiscing what he can do when we had Bijan. Bijan did not let the first person tackle him, and so that the way he ran the ball this week kind of reminded me of that.
Now that would be huge, especially as this offensive line starts to, really start to sink. And again, it wasn't perfect, and there's plenty to work on. But Stevie, that's the thing that made Bijan so special, is the missed tackles forced. Making guys miss in the hole, bouncing off of tackles at the second level. Texas, I think a year ago, maybe didn't have as much as that. And this year, if CJ Baxter is able to add that to his repertoire, I mean, that's a huge relief, especially in the goal line, in which I like that jumbo look. I'm not sure. Obviously, it was called back due to a chop block, but I like that jumbo look, and hopefully that becomes something that Texas can rely on as well moving forward. What's one thing you're looking for week 3 that continues to get better?
No penalties. I want to clean up all the penalties. I want us to do everything that we want to do, right? So if we get in a third down situation, get the first down, right? Or win that category better than we've been doing. So I want it to be clean, no penalties, little to no penalties. Have we ever had a game with no penalties? So little to no penalties, just a clean game. I don't even care about the score at this point. We need clean games. The defense going out there and doing what they need to do, basically in a base defense. So man on man, Imano playing football and just dominating with just what our talent is and not what we're calling.
I like that. Clean game. Yeah. They're a sloppy team right now. There's no doubt about that. They're a sloppy teem. But they got, I mean, that's the struggle, right? You get better week to week. So we'll try to, I guess the goal is 0 penalties, you said, for this team. Oh, man, to go from 12, what did they have the first week? 6 against Ohio State, I believe it was. But they were critical penalties. I believe it was 6. So they're averaging right around 9 penalties per game. We'll see if they can get to that 0 number. Steve, before we let you go, how proud are you of Murad Watson, who is leading the team currently in sacks?
I'm proud of him. Everyone.
Yeah.
It's just the second game, and the first game we didn't get any sacks, right? So, let's get further into the season.
I thought the tackle you wanted to show some love. That's all.
Yeah, love them all out there, man. Let's talk in the middle of the season, see how many sacks that everyone got, and how hard people are working to get these sacks too.
No doubt. Hey man,
how many of y'all held y'all breath when Simmons was on the ground though?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. That was scary.
Yeah. So I had to explain what actually happened. It was like it happened to me before, but it happened to me in practice. And Sean Rogers looked at me and said, "Welcome to college football, kid. It's all it is a stinger. And when you play in big time college football and you get a stinger, you think that it's the worst thing that ever happened, but it goes away." So it looked like to me he had a stinger. And you go to the sideline, you have to hold your arms out, and the trainer pushes your hand down. And if you can't fight him up to keep your arm up, you can't go back in the game. So then you keep testing. Every 3 minutes you test, and once you can keep your hand up, you can go back into the game. So that's his welcome to college football. I guess again, because stingers ain't no joke in big time college football.
Yeah, man. No, that was I remember that moment too. I was like, oh no. I think I said a prayer or two, but it worked. Yeah. But no, thank you, Steve. We appreciate you taking the time this evening, man, and every Monday to join us. Courtesy of our good friends at Hargrove Roofing. Check out hardgroveroofing.com. We really appreciate them. They got offices all over Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas. And actually right now offering a free roof inspection, courtesy of our friends over at Hargrove Roofing. They are the most pro burnt orange roofing company out there. So no matter what your needs may be, if you have severe weather in your area, maybe it's been a while since you've had a roof inspection. Maybe you are worried that you need a new roof, and it's been a long time since you've had a new roof. My friends at Hargrove Roofing, they can help you out. Don't DIY that. Leave it to the professionals at Hargrove Roofing. Know who's on your roof with Hargrove Roofing at hardgroveroofing.com. All right. Thanks, Stevie. We appreciate you taking the time as always, and have a great rest of the evening.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Hook 'em,
brother. All right, that's a lifetime Longhorn. My former teammate Stevie Lee. He came right on as we were having that Cole Pittman conversation, so that was right on time. All right, let's dive into some questions, super chats here. How about this one from Marcos29? Thank you for the super chat. Says, with so much hype around Wingo being wide receiver 1, do you think people are overlooking the chemistry Arch and Livingstone built last year as second teamers? They're also roommates, right? Aren't they roommates? See, Coach?
Oh no, not that again.
That'd be it, Coach. It's got to be something to it, Coach. I'm just saying. They roommates. So maybe Wingo needs to move in with Arch and Parker Livingstone. There you go. Make it a kind of 3 guys can live together hanging out.
Three's company.
Exactly. That solves your chemistry problem right there. But then Jack Entry's gonna want to move in there too. He's gonna be like, "Hey man, I want to get in there too." Everybody will. Then you have all the receiving corps gonna be trying to move in with Arch and hang out.
Well, they asked him today. They said, "Arch, you got a good rapport with Jack, too. Is he? I mean, are you living with him as well?" He goes, "Well, we don't have room. Sorry. I'm sure a couple guys wanted to move into the house, but he said he has 5 other roommates, so 6 people in the house. I wonder who the messiest is in that house, but
man, it's players, right?
All players, yeah.
I wonder who the other guys are living in that house. Now I'm curious. Interesting. All right. I'll say this about Wingo. Because Sark said, and I'll get the Sark quote because I want to make sure I don't want to misquote the head coach. He said, with Ryan, I just think he's pressing a little bit. Ryan is, if not the most, one of the most conscientious kids on our roster. He works really hard. Nobody practices harder than this guy. He wants to do right. He's in the right spots. He wants to make all the plays. Sometimes not trying so hard is the best avenue, and just playing and relaxing and playing. And he'll get there. I think that we all want him to get there sooner rather than later. I know he does too. So I think a little bit of it, Coach, is that, and even Caleb Downs said this for Ohio State, they took him away in some situations. They just doubled him and took him away. They took away Texas' number 1 options in the passing game. So I do think Parker Livingstone has had more favorable matchups potentially than a Ryan Wingo. But yeah, him and Arch are just off. Like when he's open, Arch is off on the throws, and then that post route he ran, like when he runs into the DB, it was a good throw, I think, by Arch putting it in the right spot, but he ran right into the DB. So it's just they're not in sync. Coach, what do you do about that?
Well, I don't know, but I'm sure glad to hear Sark say that, because I was wondering, if there was an attitude problem or maybe a lack of discipline. But I'm really glad to hear that he's that conscientious guy. That really makes me want to pull for him more. And you're right, but he'll figure it out, and so will Arch. They'll figure it out, and they really need him to come through and be the guy that we know he can be, because that's just going to make everything easier for everybody else. But I agree, it's certainly allowed Parker Livingston to have some more targets that he might not have, and it's the same way it was back with Jordan and Quan Cosby. You know, if you take one of them away, the other one's going to torch you. You know. Same way it was back with Sloan and BJ and Roy. How do you cover those guys? And that's what we need. We need for everybody to play at the level that they can play at, whatever it takes for them to get there. Be nice to have one more guy come through and be that playmaker that we're looking for. And it might be Ryan, but somebody needs to come through and be the playmaker that we need to break a game wide open.
Yeah, I like the way you said that, Coach. I heard Bobby say something. Bobby calls them like touchdown makers, but it's just there's certain guys who can move the chains and certain guys who change the game. The game changers need to assert themselves. Ryan Wingo is one of those guys. Like he is.
I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but when Emmett Mosley comes back, and he eventually will, what does that rotation do? Because we've looked at it all off season as Ryan Wingo is your number 1 wide receiver.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's only one wide receiver right now making plays on the football, and I don't think you can take him off the field. That's Parker Livingston. So, I know it's a ways away, but it's worth asking the question, what happens to that wide receiver room when Mosley's healthy? and you really start to figure out who your number 2, your number 3, your solidified number 1 guys are, it'll be really interesting. But
I think it's good. I think it's good in a way because you've got Ryan Wingo, you've got Parker, you've got Mosley, you've got Kalik, you've got those guys, and it's just a matter of time till the more playmakers you have. But yeah, who are you going to take out? DeAndre Moore? I mean, who do you take off the field? That's a great point, CJ. But I think as the season progresses, those things will stop. The cream will start rising to the top, and we'll have it figured out. I think by the time the conference starts.
Speaking of that, Coach, we got to see 2 receptions from Kalik Lockett early in the season for these young guys who, might not have been as up to speed very early as some of these other true freshmen that we've seen in the Sark tenure. How important is just that 1 reception, just to see the ball, be brought in, for a lot of these guys early on in their careers?
Yeah, very important.
Yeah,
there you have it.
Confidence. It is. No, I get it. Just to get, you can see Sark wants to do that with Ryan Wingo. He's forcing the football to him at times. You can tell there are some plays that are predetermined. They're just trying to get Ryan Wingo going.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see if as the season goes on, him and Arch develop more of a connection. All right, how about this one from Sandman _0023 said, based on his presser, Sark definitely doesn't like his offense right now. LOL. He knows they aren't living up to expectations by a long shot. I mean, we started out, CJ, you talked about that earlier. You had a tweet that kind of really showcased how much this offense is underachieving right now overall, considering the talent. And I agree with you, Sandman. But I think they don't have an identity just yet. They aren't the only one. There are a lot of offenses around the country that I've noticed watching college football that are kind of struggling to find their identity. And so as soon as this, they're coachable is code for we don't have an identity on offense. Yeah, they don't. They don't. But it's still early. So last year the identity was they're explosive. They're the most explosive offense in the country. So that covers up a lot of your issues on 3rd down, your issues in the red zone, your issues with penalties, Quinn Ewers issues dealing with pressure, whatever. You were just explosive. So it got you out of a lot of trouble. This year, you're not as explosive, yet you still got some of the same issues. 3rd down, red zone, penalties. And those things are dragging your efficiency down. And you used last year, it was just like, Matthew Golden's going to make an explosive play. Gunnar Helm's going to make an explosive play. Somebody's going to make a big play. And Isaiah Bond's out there. You had, to Coach's point, you had so many of those guys that'll kind of get you out of trouble when you got down to 3rd longs. And now you have guys, but they haven't asserted themselves just yet. So all those same issues you had last year, you still got them. But now you don't have the explosivity to get you out of trouble.
Well, maybe we need to borrow Florida State's. Did you read about Florida State? They're giving their guys Zen. The receivers were saying, like one of the guys, big receivers, he said, yeah, he took 6 milligrams Zen. And the coach said, make sure you have that in your cheek every time. So I'm about to score, baby.
No way.
Did you see that? Did y'all read that?
I did not see that. See that.
I mean, I'm sure the coach didn't want that getting out.
I would assume not.
One of the players were saying, his coach said, you better have that 6 milligrams in your mouth when you're out there playing for the nicotine to get you pepped up, to get you focused.
Hey,
That's a great comment, Marco.
That pep, baby. You need that boost. Boost. All right. Before we keep going, let's thank our friends over at South Point Dodge. Then we'll come back and answer some more questions. Thank you to our friends over at South Point Dodge. You can score big today with our friends over at South Point Dodge. South Point Dodge has over 600 vehicles in stock right now, including the all-new 2025 Ram 1500. Get the real deal today and drive away in the all-new Ram 1500, proven to last. Plus, you get employee incentive pricing, which is a fancy way of saying you pay what the employees pay right now at our friends over at South Point Dodge. That's the real deal, and you won't find a better deal. Whether you need a car, truck, something new, something used, trade in, our friends at South Point Dodge are Austin's automotive everything. So check them out today at southpointdodge.com. All right, let's get back to it here. How about this one from QWERTY? Says offensive-minded head coach doesn't have the offense he thought he would have by year 5. That's wild to think about. Yeah, we talked about this in the offseason a little bit, how Sark has been able to help build an elite defense. Like Texas has an elite defense now. It looks like for back-to-back years that may be the case. Last year, this year, and yet the offense has not taken the step to elite just yet. He's got one of the better offenses. It's a good offense. I'm not hating on Sark's offense. He's one of the better offensive minds in football. But he hasn't had a top 10 offense since he's been at Texas. Yeah. Not in terms of scoring points, but he had the most explosive offense. That's why I thought last year was a big step. And we'll see. Like I said, you need an identity though, something they can lean on. And right now, they don't really have that.
Which is surprising. And again, if you're at schools for a long time, you'll see the lulls, right? You'll see the highs in which you have a lot of talent in one position, then you'll see teams in which you don't have a lot of talent in one position, and injuries play a role in that, right? Texas last year was definitely hamstrung by their running backs, just in the sense that you only had really 2 that you could rely upon as the season progressed. But yeah, this year is interesting. Young offensive line, breaking in a new quarterback. You would expect that would take some time to get up to speed, but we've seen new faces on the defensive side of the ball step in and keep that side of the ball producing at the level that we've seen over the last couple of years. So we'll continue to keep an eye on it. But yeah, I mean, I think you would expect there to be a quicker, push earlier in the season, at least a little bit more consistently, and especially up front.
This is going to be a great test, though. I like this UTEP game for Texas. I know we're not breaking down UTEP just yet, but UTEP has 10 sacks on the season, guys. They got 10. They're actually tied for the lead in nation with sacks. With 10.
But who have they played?
I know, but this is my point. They got 10 sacks. They got 23 tackles for loss. So I think they're second in the country in tackles for loss. And I agree with the coach. They ain't played much of nobody. All right, but San Jose State was in the same kind of category, and they gave Texas O-line some issues, undersized, moving around, doing some aggressive things, and I think it's another good test for Texas in that regard. Texas don't beat the hell out of UTEP, of course, but can they show some of the potential problematic areas for Texas, like things they need to address? And I think they can. If you're leaky on the O-line in pass protection, pass pro, I think UTEP might find some ways to exploit it. Like I said, they're aggressive. How about this? They got 10 sacks. 9 different players have at least a half a sack.
Yeah.
They got 23 tackles for loss, I believe, and 14 players have at least a half a tackle for loss. It ain't just one guy that's wrecking shop and you're like, we're going to take him away or stay away from him. No. They're aggressive all across the board. There's a bunch of kind of undersized, overachievers, if you will. And I think it'll be a good test for Texas coming off this San Jose State game where Sark admitted we lost our fundamentals offensively on O-line. And, they got some things they got to clean up. It's a good test. I think so.
That's a heck of a stat. You know why? It's the contrarian of the two teams. How polarizing each team is in that statistic. Rod, you mentioned 23 tackles for a loss. I just looked it up. Texas has how many? Any guesses?
That's a good question.
They've got 4. You know how many teams have less than 4 tackles for loss this year? 1.
Damn.
You're talking about the country's leader in creating havoc plays, and you're talking about Texas, who is at the complete other side of the spectrum, having the second fewest in all the country creating havoc plays behind the line of scrimmage, in which, again, we've expected that this front 7 would get home, would create a lot of plays behind the line of scrimmage, and we saw a glimpse of that this past week, and we talk about having steps forward against these teams in the non-conference. But right now, only Notre Dame, also surprisingly, has fewer tackles for loss than the Texas defense.
And I think my numbers, they have 27. I apologize for tackles for loss. So I was off on their tackles for loss number. But my point is they're one of the better teams in the country. Well, see, that's crazy because I got 2 different stats here. College Football Reference has them with 27, and this other place has them with 23. So just so you know. All right.
Somewhere in the middle. Either way, it's a lot.
I don't even, if you do a lot of, and I'm sure CJ knows this too, if you do a lot of, stats, going to be a statistician or you're doing a lot of analytical work, you'll find that different places have like different discrepancies in stats. It's weird. I don't know. Even Texas is different sometimes than ESPN and College Football Reference and all that kind of stuff. Just throwing it out there. All right. Let's get back to the questions. Jason here with the question says, seems a systemic issue with discipline on the field is penalties, particularly pre-snap and frustration penalties. What needs to happen to address this? Been a problem the last couple of years. I mean, Colin Simmons, I think, leads the country in penalties.
Hey, Rod, that quote that you mentioned about Sark talking about Ryan Wingo, you could take the name out and replace Colin Simmons, and it's the exact same situation. Just trying too much, or you're trying to do too much, too often, too early, and but it's something that's got to be cleaned up. But I think it's very much the same case of the guy wanting to be doing the extra. It's just too much.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that, but I agree with you on that 100%. He's trying way too hard. He's obsessed, I think, with the result. There's a great quote from Jahdae Barron. I'm going to screw it up. And I try to get it right. Remember he said before the combine, he said he had to reprogram himself to be obsessed with the process without, being obsessed with the result of it. You know what I mean? And just go out there and just kind of let it hang. You know what I mean? Go out there and let it play. Like force yourself to be obsessive about the process, practicing, your preparation, all that. And then the game, you just got to go out there and relax and play. And I agree. I think you're right. I think him and Ryan Wingo in the game, I guess pressing is the right way to say it. They're trying way too hard to make a play. And somebody said it about Arch Manning in that Ohio State game. They said for the first 3 quarters, he was trying to win the Heisman with every throw. And it's like, you ain't got to do that. You're a baller. Just go out there and ball. All right. But I agree, Jason, about the penalties and the systemic issue. They got Sarkisian said he's going to fix it. I think they can fix the penalty thing. That's a young team, and they make a lot of young mistakes. I mean, that's what we've seen. But the pre-snap stuff on the O-line, and offensively, that's something that I agree was an issue last year as well. With a veteran O-line, you had that issue. And by the way, some of these issues are your veterans. I mean, DJ Campbell's one of the most veteran O-lineman you got, and all these penalties are on him. Hear about this from Hook'em Horn. Says, I'd love to hear coach's thoughts on why we don't score points in the third quarter consistently. Oh, third quarter issues are back.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, I don't know. I wish I knew the answer. I'd call Sark and tell him. Actually, I wouldn't, but I don't know the answer to that. I really don't. I mean, there's stretches in the first and second quarter. We looked really good on offense. I mean, we were clicking. Of course, the defense was giving us, the ball in good field position. But when you stop and think about, CJ, the stat that you had about having the ball, getting the ball, what was it, 9 times on the opponent's inside the opponent's 50-yard line?
No, the opposite. So on Texas's own side of the field, 9 times.
Yeah. So that's less than 2 points per possession when you do that. That's just unacceptable. It's unacceptable. I don't know what the answer is. The players are going to have to figure it out, and the coaches are going to have to figure it out. And I don't know. It's just like, after the third quarter last week, I was just like, I don't know what to say. Even after the game, I'm like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah. No, it's one of those issues that now has crossed over from last season to this season. We had too many of those. Red zone, third down issues, too many of those, which means in the offseason, they weren't properly addressed or whatever solution they had for them, it obviously has not started to work, has not worked out yet for them. Getting back to it, Tyler says, what are you guys' thoughts on how we are going to start getting manufactured offense? I actually had an idea about this. Actually, I tweeted about it too. I went and looked at the most explosive plays for Texas. They got 8 plays of 20-plus yards in the passing game. So 8 passing plays of 20-plus yards. and 7 of them have come on targets to bunch formation. Oh, thank you, Matthew. Bunch formation, stack formation, snug, tight, condensed sets. That means closely clustered groups of receivers, right? And to me, that's within 3 yards or so. All right, that means they're kind of a closely clustered group. And think about Parker Livingstone. I mean, basically all of his big plays have come off of that. The touchdown against Ohio State, the 83-yarder, he was also in a bunch. The 42-yarder that he caught, he was in a stack. I don't think it's a coincidence. I think for people who have questioned whether the receivers can win one-on-one and create enough separation, you literally get separation with these stacks, bunches, and tight twins. DBs like myself, we have to give you space to allow the routes to declare and allow the routes to reveal themselves. And then the routes, how they are revealed and how the routes are determined, that actually will determine how we cover it, how we defend it. Sometimes we'll zone it, sometimes we'll man it, sometimes we'll play high-low, sometimes we'll play in-out, we'll tango it, we can banjo it. You can do all these different things, but what you're doing, you're forcing DBs to communicate. And what happens when people communicate? Miscommunication. Somebody's going to screw it up. And ultimately, that's what happens. You got DBs back there saying, all right, if I'm gonna match him when he gets to 10 yards. I'm going to match him when he gets to 5 yards. And the other guy was thinking, oh, I thought you were going to match him when he got to 8 yards. So I took the under. I went and took that because I thought once that guy goes vertical for 8 yards, he was your man. You got miscommunication on the back end, especially early on in the season. So I think it matters. And like I said, look at your explosive play rate. Your explosive play rate when targeting closely clustered receivers is higher than your incompletion rate when targeting closely clustered receivers. Let that sink in.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, that is good. I also think, Art said, a week ago or so that, we were getting too cute. We need to get back to basics or whatever. I think that's who his identity is. And even though it's easy for the offense to run all the misdirection and motion and all that stuff, the defense has to spend an awful lot of time preparing for that stuff, and even gadget plays, if that's what you want to call them. It's easy for the offense to do, but the defense has to look at all the possibilities that could possibly happen, when Texas does this and does that. And it just gives the defense less time to work on stopping your fundamentals. And so I think there's got to be a happy medium there of doing a lot of misdirection, doing some of the gadget stuff, and still just being able to line up and whip people.
Right,
I think Arch needs to be true to who he is.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, good point. Because the under center stuff is part of that. Because they're not that successful with plays under center. They're not. I mean, I've been tracking them. They're not. But he's insistent to coach's point that they want to change their identity. And maybe that's why the Ohio State game plan was what it was. And the first play against San Jose State, everybody was like, that should have been one of the first plays versus Ohio State. That should have been the play. And even though it was a holding and he came back, I think Sark may be conflicted right now about what the identity of this team, what he wants it to be ultimately. Okay, let's thank our friends at SeatGeek before we answer one more super chat, and then we'll end tonight's live stream. Texas fans, you should be excited. Of course, football season is here, and if you want to make sure you get the best tickets to any football game, college or pro, you need to stick with our friends over at SeatGeek. With more than 35 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. College football is back, and the NFL is also, and SeatGeek has your back. Each ticket is rated on a scale from 1 to 10, so you're getting a good deal. So look for the green dots. Green means good. Red, of course, means bad. Plus, every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. And, of course, we've got a deal for On Texas football fans. You can use the code ONTexas10 for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with the promo code ONTexas10. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Thank you very much to our friends over at SeatGeek. All right, last question of the night from Connor. Thank you, Connor, for the super chat. Very kind of you. Said, should Sark delegate offensive play calling duties? Ooh, coach, this is yours. You're a coach.
Yeah, not yet. Yeah, not yet.
Not yet.
I mean, he's got to have somebody that he really trusts, that knows what he thinks and knows what he feels. I just don't think Sark's in a place where he can do that at this point. And honestly, I don't know that I want him to, because he's been on the verge of living up to his reputation of being, one of the greatest offensive minds in football. I think at some point it would help, but it's got to be a proven guy who knows how Sark thinks and knows the philosophy and knows the framework of the offense. There could be somebody on staff. If there is, I wouldn't know it, but I wouldn't do that in the middle of the season. But I agree. I think it would take a lot off his plate and give us maybe a fresh look on offense. Maybe something that defensive coordinators would have a tough time pegging.
Uh-oh, Matthew, hit the button.
Oh, damn it. Last question. I screwed it up. I love your idea of the red zone a red zone offensive coordinator for Sark.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna allow someone on your staff to call plays, these are the games you do it.
That's true.
Like you do, like say for a quarter, you go, hey man, you want to call the third or call the fourth?
Well, yeah, and that gets your tendencies off too.
Yeah, this is the game where you go, you can call the second quarter, brother. We're good. You don't do it when SEC play starts. I mean, so I like that, Coach. All right. Thank you very much. We appreciate all you guys' participation. Thank you for the super chats. Sorry we couldn't answer all the questions. Ran out of time, but we really appreciate you guys. If you want those questions answered, you can direct them to the gentleman at Coffee and Football bright and early tomorrow morning at 8:15. That's Bobby and Jerry. And also tomorrow we'll have the Tuesday night live stream with the Tuesday crew, Amanda Adwell, CJ Vogel, and Jeff Howe. You can direct those questions to those guys at 7:15. Also, thank you to our man Matthew behind the scenes. He's the real MVP, always doing a great job. Can't say it enough. And for Matthew and for Coach and for CJ, I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Until next time, hook 'em horns.
Hook 'em.